Hi everybody, this is David, and 2023 is almost halfway over, and tons of great games have been released this year. Some great, some not so great. So that's what I want to talk about today. 5 games that are definitely worth it, and 5 games that aren't. So let's start going ahead and look at all these great games, and terrible ones too. First up, The Bad, with Neptunia Sisters vs. Sisters, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I don't think that you really need me to tell you that an Idea Factory Neptunia game is absolute dog shit, but here I am. I do know that they have some sort of loyal fan base, but I just don't get it. It's like 1 step forward and 2 steps back with these games. They might come out with a good idea, but it's never implemented well. This one was the first one featuring the goddess candidates as main characters, and it had an action-based battle system. So I thought, maybe there's some potential here, you know, with new characters and a new battle system, but my god, it's so damn clunky. I've played smoother games back on the NES for God's sakes. Every single dungeon is just one copy-pasted hallway after another, and you just keep doing the same thing with like the stupidest dialogue ever. Which I guess is kind of a metaphor for the series. It just keeps going on, and nobody really knows why. Number 2, Redemption Reapers, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I'm sorry, maybe I'm old school, but games have one chance to impress me. I don't have time to go back to a game after they fixed all of their little issues to give it a second chance. First impressions matter to me, and well, yeah, I do know that they did patch many of their issues, but I don't care. They released a shitty, unfinished, unbalanced, crap-ass game that they expected everybody to just kind of gobble up because of the pedigree behind it, but no ma'am! It does not work that way. You release trash, then you're going to get a trash review, so just make your game right the first time. It's always amazing to me how game developers were able to release finished, tested, perfected products back in the 90s and 2000s, but now they figure, nah, who cares? And they just throw the quality control right out the window. And hey y'all, if you're liking this, please be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for some more great content. And with that, third up, Record of Agarest War, recently ported on over to the Nintendo Switch. How many ports of this crap-ass game are they going to keep on releasing? This is the most uninspired, boring strategy RPG I've ever had the displeasure of playing. Anime tropes abound, and the harem mechanics are there in spades. So you might think, well, maybe the gameplay makes up for it? But then, you notice Idea Factory had their hand on it, and that's whenever it hits you. No, the gameplay isn't going to make it for anything. This is just going to be one long, boring-ass, horrible slog through maps that are just literally squares and rectangles, because God forbid they put any sort of elevation or environmental effects, or even just a modicum of effort into their design. Everything that they touch just turns to garbage, and they need to go to business once and for all. Number 4, Bayonetta Origins, Ryza, and the Lost Demon, released for the Nintendo Switch. In the immortal words of Blaine Edwards and Antoine Merriweather, hated it! Having never played a Bayonetta game before, but hearing only great things about the series, I went into this game with an open mind. I wanted to like it. I wanted to be exposed to another genre and another great series, and I hoped and I prayed that it would be good and that my eyes would be opened up to the greatness that is Bayonetta. But instead, what I found was some sort of bastardized, half-assed puzzle game that reminded me more of Cat Trap on the Game Boy than any sort of real action RPG. I mean, you don't even fight. You just kind of like move around, stun monsters, and then send the demon in to deal with it. It's pretty to look at, but that's all it has going for it. And last up for our bad games, Legend of Dragoon, recently ported on over to the PS5. Like I said before, I give games one chance to impress me. And this game, which I actually first received as a high school graduation present back in 2000, did not impress me in the slightest back then, and nowadays is just a joke. Battles take forever, because in order to deal any sort of respectable damage, you have to hit like 1 billion additions per attack. And honestly,
That's all you can really do here because, God forbid they actually give you magic. You can pretty much only use that during the boss fights. It's all just so one note. Then your inventory is capped at 32 items. It's ridiculous. So then, in some sort of sick joke, Sony decided to hype up the port of this to the PS5 only to botch it completely and release it in an unplayable, totally buggy state. Huh, you don't say. It was unplayable crap back in 2000, and now 23 years later, it's again released as unplayable crap.
Well, we've gotten all of those bad games out of the way, so now it's time to get to the really good ones.
First up for our good, we have Trinity Trigger, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. Not only was this one of my most anticipated games of the year, but it actually met all of my expectations. Secret of Mana is one of my favorite games of all time, and Trinity Trigger took everything that game did great and then turned it up a notch. There are 3 characters you control, in a beautiful setting filled with tons of towns and dungeons and areas to explore, as well as fully unique weapons and a brilliant upgrade system where you attach stones to your weapons and armor to power yourself up even more. This is a winner. But not only does Square need to take a lesson in how the Mana series should be evolving, they also need to take a lesson in how to do a Day 1 edition too. Because, you know, their collector's editions cost like $300, and this one only cost $20 more than a normal game, and it came with all sorts of great stuff. So here's to hoping for a sequel to this fantastic banger of a game. Number 2, Piece Odyssey, released for the PS4, PS5, Xbox, and PC. I really liked this game, and it probably has something to do with it being developed by the same team that made Dragon Quest XI. But this is just a nostalgic blast of the past, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, even though I've never seen a single One Piece cartoon. But honestly, that wasn't necessary, because the game did a great job introducing the characters, the story, and the locales. They were all vibrant and beautiful and fun to explore. And the battle system was super unique too because, you know, it's turn-based, but instead of just having all your guys fight all the enemies, everybody's placed in a separate region, and they all have to fight their own enemies before coming out of their region and helping out their partners. It's a really fun, unique twist on an old formula, and since this show has so many episodes, I am sure that there is so much more that they can do with this franchise. Number 3, Fire Emblem Engage, released for the Nintendo Switch. I play Fire Emblem games for their gameplay. Whenever I turn it on, I just want to strategize, gather up and outfit my troops, and then hit the ground running, ready to kick ass and take names. What I don't want to be doing is playing a Persona Lite, or having to deal with like high school melodrama, dating mechanics, and school exploration. So boy, am I glad that Fire Emblem Engage dropped all that Three Houses crap. This is definitely a return to the basics, and this is made by the fans, for the fans. And I'm sure that it has something to do with it originally being released on the Wii, but it plays so old school, which I love, because I'm an old school gamer at heart. So I adore that you can summon all the past heroes to your side so that they can join you in your quest to save the world. Number 4, Octopath Traveler 2, released for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC. We all know that turn-based RPGs, especially ones with pixel art like this, are a dying breed. But they don't have to be, because this series proves how to do it right. With the choice of 8 heroes, each complete with their very own story, and a massive, gorgeous world to explore, filled to the brim with secret paths and treasures, this is an old-school RPGer's wet dream. Touting classic turn-based gameplay with challenging boss battles and tons of modern quality-of-life features that you've come to expect in this day and age, I think that what I like best about it is that it's so easy to pick up and play. You know how sometimes you'll like put a game down and then after a month you'll come back to it and then you'll be like, how do I play this game again? What was I doing? Where do I go? Well, that's really not an issue here, because all you need to do is pull up that map screen and then it tells you exactly what you need to do. And finally, Atelier Ryza 3, released for the PS5, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and PC. I loved the Atelier series back when it was first introduced on the PS2, only to unfortunately realize that what I actually loved were the spin-off games, because the mainline series itself was boring as dirt, which is what I found out when the PS3 hit. So no one is more happy than I am to report that Atelier has gone from super boring time management crafting crap to one of the best JRPG series out there. It's just too bad that it took 2 whole console generations for it to happen, but here we are. Ryza 3 is the culmination of the trilogy, finishing out her story and allowing you access to massive, huge open-world maps, thinking something akin to what you would find in like Xenoblade. That is what I'm talking about here. They're just gigantic. Couple that with fast-paced, turn-based combat and a lighthearted story with great characters that you've grown to love, and you've got a winner on your hands. So that's it for 5 games to buy and 5 games to not buy that were all released this year. What do you think about this list? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and wanted you on the channel, please consider following me over on Twitter, supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, heading on over to Twitch for some streaming fun, or coming on over to my Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them all can be found in the video description. This has been David, and if you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.